Treasury bills this week. Details of this and more coming up shortly. Good evening and welcome to Business Brief. I am Michael Obodu. Before we bring you our top stories, let's check out some other stories that have been making the rounds in the world of business today.
In business today, after few weeks of undersubscription, government's Treasury bills auction last week was oversubscribed with a chunk of the bids from the 91-day Treasury bill. Interest rates, however, continue to soar. Fuel pump prices could escalate if the Bank of Ghana heeds to the call by the IMF to suspend its targeted dollar support to bulk oil distributing companies. That's according to energy strategist and chief executive of Eureka, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana. Overseas investment flows have jumped over the past month after incoming President Bola Tinubu's administration allowed the Naira to weaken 40%, according to data from the Nigerian Exchange in Lagos. While the devaluation initially reset the foreign currency price of the benchmark index lower, stock gains fueled by the flows have mitigated the impact, leading to a 7.5% rebound over the past 2 weeks.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Let's bring you our first story as government intends to raise almost 2 billion cedis in Treasury bills this week. Courage Botsi of GCB Capital has predicted another oversubscription, adding that yields continue to rise due to uncertainties around government's intended second round of domestic exchange program.
The target for this week is relatively lower. They are seeking to issue 1.77 billion. The refinancing obligation for the week, per my estimation, is about 1.67 billion, at least as we see on the CXD system. So all other things being equal, they should comfortably roll over this maturity and probably exceed it. So there should be some oversubscription at the auction. T-bill rates are still climbing. It's now the last auction cleared at 24.39%. That is 44 basis points higher than the previous clearing yield. And then the 364 is just around 29.65%. And a touch away from 30% levels. The reason I believe they are increasing at this maybe rather faster pace in the last few weeks is government is trying to do a second round of the DDP, cocoa bills targeted, domestic dollar bonds targeted, and a number of others really. Now that leaves the multi-million question: is T-bills necessarily exempted? Because even the exempted pensions holding of over 29 billion is now being negotiated to be brought back into the conversation really. So there is that uncertainty in the minds of investors as to whether exemption of T-bills exactly means exemption, or sometime in the future we may come back to look at it if the debt metrics are not exactly improving.
The Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, is calling for increased production of critical goods on the continent to drive intra-African trade. GUTA's president, Dr. Joseph Obeng, says this is the only way to ensure that the African Continental Free Trade Area's objectives are achieved.
It is very important that we do value addition. We make sure that we are also able to produce, add value, process our raw materials to finished goods at competitive pricing. And that's where people of Africa can have something to buy among ourselves. So it's not a lip service that we have to do. We have to intensify our production capabilities to be self-sufficient in so many things, especially those areas that we have comparative advantage. Because we cannot pretend that Africa can produce everything that the world is producing. So we look within those areas that we can enhance on our productivity and make it more to be a hub of African trading. So we can trade among ourselves for goods that we actually need, the finished goods that I'm talking about. And that's that has been the bane.
The Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana wants the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, to be well-resourced in order to effectively carry out its mandate of monitoring the use of Ghana's oil revenues. At an induction ceremony in Accra, ICEG urged government to equip PIAC with prosecutorial powers to drag offenders of Petroleum Revenue Management Act to court.
The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, only monitors and reports to Parliament, but it has no mandate to prosecute those who misappropriate oil revenues. The Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana has suggested government amend the Petroleum Revenue Management Act to give PIAC prosecutorial powers to haul corrupt officials from both public and private institutions before court when they are found to have misapplied or stolen oil funds.
Legislation that will give them some powers to take those who breach the Petroleum Revenue Management Act on legally, prosecuting those people. So we'll call on government to rally behind PIAC and make PIAC stronger so that the people of Ghana would benefit from the oil proceeds.
The Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana again urged that PIAC is well-resourced by government to carry out its mandate.
Allowances and everything is under the bosom of the finance minister. So finance minister, they can decide that we have money, we don't have money to support them. And one of the things that I can clearly see is that, yes, they're able to come out with a wonderful report, but the report is just lying somewhere. How many people can get access to a report? What is their budget in terms of media support and other areas? So I think if they're able to get the support, they can do very well.
PIAC is mandated to track, evaluate and monitor proceeds from Ghana's oil fields and its proper utilization, making sure costs and wastes are cut and ensuring value for money.
The Cybersecurity Authority has encouraged businesses to do due diligence when it comes to online transactions. Head of Computer Emergency Response Team at the authority, Stephen Kojo-Seshi, encouraged entities to take steps to keep their businesses secured from online fraudsters.
Don't just trust any engagement that comes online and then start transacting business. You should do a certain level of due diligence. So, for example, if you are in a textile business and somebody contacts you online and says, I can supply you dye, there are things you can do. You need to verify the identity of who's engaging you in the first place. Do they have a physical address that you can contact them on if they supply you and you actually have any issues? So don't just transact like that. In fact, when it comes to even how you do your payments, you need to do some checks. If it's mobile money, for instance, you want to be sure that the name behind it matches the organization in terms of registration. If the company is ABCD company that supplies your dye and then you go and on the number, mobile money transactions is Kofi Minu, you need to be very careful and make sure that you are dealing with the right people. So in general, it's about due diligence. Do the checks with whoever you're engaging online. Don't trust emails that come in from anybody at all. Make sure it's an email you're expecting before you click on anything in there. There can be malicious links or attachments that can impact your organization. So be careful with such engagement, and as a business, then you'll be fine. Even within your actual infrastructure, there are certain cyber hygiene practices you can talk about. So make sure your devices are properly protected with stuff like antivirus. They are up to date. You are using the authentic software to protect yourself from any attacks that may originate from the internet.
Let's now go to the Forex market and find out how major trading currencies are faring. Let's now check out how major trading commodities are faring on the international commodities market. Well, the price of cocoa is up by 0.63%. It's trading for about $3,300 per ton. The price of gold is also down by 0.08%, trading just at about $1,900 per ounce. The price of crude oil is also up by 0.1%, trading just about $78 per barrel. Well, that will be all for Business Brief here on TV3. For more business stories, please visit our website, 3news.com. My name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe.